Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this week's video, we are going to make a dub techno-ish song. We're going to use a Trigon 6 for all of it, and it sounds like this. So let's get into it. So full disclosure, I do work for one of the sister companies of Sequential, so I do have this on loan. This isn't going to be a review. It's pretty biased if I do a review, but I thought, hey, I've got the synth, might as well make some music. If anyone's looking to see kind of what it's capable of, maybe this can give them a glimpse into that. But yeah, without further ado, let's get cracking. So on the screen, you can see I've already written some MIDI lines. If I was to go and do this all from scratch, it could take forever. So I've kind of like prepared a little lead line, a stab line, and a little bass thing. And up the top, I've got some drums, and everything just sounds like this so far. So this is just the drums. Oh, I tell a lie. The stab was gone. This is just the drums. So nothing crazy, just super dubby drums, and we are kicking along at 114 BPM. Everything's super fast at the moment, so I thought I would slow everything down. So let's get cracking with the stab. The main sort of stab that's going to be every 4 bars is just going to occur. So we can come along and reset it, the preset back to 0. Here we go. So we just have one sawtooth. We're going to take that off, the LFO off the frequency. And let's open that. We just have a simple single oscillator going into the filter, no filter going on, and that's it. No effects, nothing else. Let's start by changing the clock down to 114. To get us in, make sure that we're synced up with our project, and let's get cracking with our stab. So for the stab, instead of me playing like a chord on the keyboard, I thought I would utilize the 3 oscillators we have here to then tune them to make that chord. So as you move up and down, it will just stay within that chord. What I'm going to do is just bring up a tuner. Let's turn the volume down just a little bit. Can be a little bit harsh just having that blasting, but what I'm going to do is we're going to have this oscillator. We're going to make sure it is set to, we're going to have 2 oscillator shapes. So we're going to have the saw and the square. And I'm going to kind of find that sweet spot. So with the square, this is the pulse, and we're just changing that shape a little bit. But together, I think that sounds pretty nice there. We kind of got it at the like 10 o'clock position. That's it from this one. So this one, you can see we've got a C. We're going to turn the volume down for that. Oh, turn these all down. Turn the one up. We've got a C. Turn that down. We're going to turn up volume for oscillator 2. We're going to select a sawtooth. And we've got just that single there. And we're going to pitch it down to start to make up that chord. So we're at C here. As we go down, down, down. Oh, it's a little fidgety there. Let's get it in. Oh. There we go. So now we have a C on the top oscillator and then a G. So that C and a G. So it would be these two notes here. If I bring up the first oscillator again, you see it's getting that sort of nice lush sort of sound. Turn down the oscillator 2, and then for oscillator 3, we turn up the volume. We're going to go sawtooth again, and then we're going to raise this one up so we have a D sharp here. So D, a little bit more, there we go, D sharp. So now if I bring all of them up, we have that chord. It's like, so we have our chord shape. So now that we've kind of done all the steps here, let's come across to the filter. So we're going to turn the filter all the way down for now, play the note, and then we're going to start to shape the filter so we get that desired sound. So to increase this just a little bit, we're just going to open up that filter cutoff just a little bit. Resonance, we'll kind of have it at the 9 o'clock to start, and then the envelope amount, this is going to be the amount of this envelope here, which is going to affect this filter. So to start off with, let's go all the way to full. And if we pull all these back down to 0, got no sound. Then as we introduce the decay, we're starting to get that sound creeping in. Want a little bit of sustain so it doesn't just, the sound doesn't drop down so quickly. And then we want that release. You can hear there now it's got the nice tail on it. Let's bring the amp envelope all the way down. Let's go a little bit of attack just so we don't get any clicks. Decay. It's kind of up around the 11:30 mark. The sustain, we're going to go up around the sort of 1, 2 o'clock, and then release, we're going to do a nice healthy release around the 2 o'clock. So that gives us a pretty decent sound, but it's just a little bit too much sound coming through. So let's dip this amount of envelope. And you can hear that it sort of dulls down the sound a little bit because it's a less of this envelope that's affecting this filter. I think that's pretty good there. Maybe a little bit more. And then also let's add a little bit of noise in there as well. So that's pretty decent there. One thing that I do really like about this synth is the built-in effects. So let's turn those on. And then we're going to go through. This is like a bucket brigade delay. So let's have that one on. And then let's go sync. And then we've got 8 dotted. And then this is the feedback amount. We can maybe 85 there. And then the dry wet, we'll have it 65. That seems good. So then we push the AB, and then this brings us over to our second lot of effects. And then for this one, I want a nice reverb. Obviously, nice dubby sound. We want that reverb in there. So let's cruise along. And we've got the whole, and this is going to provide the biggest reverb on this synth. So you can hear there already. And then this is the time. And then the second parameter will be the first reflection. So we can come along and just, let's make it. If we go all the way, we can back that off to maybe, we go 149, that seems good. First reflection, let's pull that down a little bit. Now that's all well and good. We got a pretty decent sound going on. And if we play it with the music, with the drums rather, and we just got that happening every 4 bars. It's pretty much the same every time it goes around. Now, you could come along and then just kind of move the filter by hand or automation or anything like that. But let's use the LFO section here that we can send it to the filter. So if we just choose filter here, we have the amount on the right-hand side and then the frequency. So this is how fast that LFO is going to work. I keep it to triangle. It makes it a little bit more smoother overall. You can get some really cool different results when you use the other ones, but for me, I really like the triangle. So let's have the frequency down pretty low, and then let's start with the amount kind of about 50%. So you can hear there already it's a lot more muted. And let's see how we go here. A little bit more open. So if I play it, we're going back down. It's closing the filter a bit more, closing the filter more and more. Nearly all the way. So you can see as I play it more, we've got that LFO opening and closing that filter. So it's like if I was just sitting there turning this cutoff myself, we're using the LFO to automate that. Really simple. For most people, they're going to be like, yeah, that's what you do. But if you're just getting into synthesis or you want to apply these techniques to a plugin or anything like that, it's a really cool way to get a little bit of movement in your synth sound without sort of having to really open the manual and sort of scratch your head to see what's going on. So we've got this sound now. Let's record it in and we'll just have our 8-bar section and then we can move on to the next sound. So next up, let's make a bass. So you can see we have the unison here. If we select unison, and if we hold it again, this will tell us how many voices of unison we have. So we have single, one voice of unison, so that means it is a monosynth. So what we're also going to do for this one is we're going to have a nice little glide in it. But let's get the bass sort of created and then we can go from there. Let's start by getting our waveforms together. So for oscillator 1, we're going to go with a square and we're going to kind of go about the middle, and then we're going to want to tune this down. So and then we're going to have a second oscillator. We're going to make sure that this is set to a saw. Volume is up. Make sure these are tuned back to 0 again. And then for this one, we're going to also tune that down. So you can hear we got a nice amount of movement and there's a lot of frequency going on there in terms of information. So let's come across to the filter and then get this filter all the way down. So now you can see we still have a lot going in the low end, but by turning that filter down, we're kind of taming it all a little bit better. Let's turn the resonance off. And then let's look at how much of this envelope amount we want. We've got 0 there. Let's go about halfway, so it's like at the 3 o'clock position. Now we can start to shape the filter envelope, so that's affecting this cutoff here. Little bit of attack. Pull the decay down just a hair. sustain about kind of keeping it just a little bit less than the decay, and then the release kind of about the 10 o'clock position. Now we can come across to the amp. Again, a little bit of attack on there so we don't get any clicks at the start. Decay up to like the 1 o'clock position. Sustain's going to be down a little bit, like about the 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then the release is going to be about the 2 o'clock. And you can hear it comes in and then starts to die out a little bit. We want the velocity to kind of be affected. And if I bring up the MIDI clip, you can see every time we've got that attack where there's no note overlapping, that I pulled down the velocity on those, so then it's not getting this real big boost in volume. So if I pull the velocity on, it's kind of leveling it out a little bit more. And then if we just kind of play it with the music, and then we can kind of shape it a little bit more. Sounds pretty good there, but we want a little bit more sound in there. So let's turn the volume up. What I might also do is just add a little bit of distortion there as well. So let's take this off the sawtooth and move it over to triangle. Now that's given us a little bit more smoother sound. Now we can look at the glide, turn the glide on, and then we'll increase that up a little bit. I think that's pretty close. I mean, I could sit here all day tweaking little bits and pieces, but let's get it recorded in and then we can move on to the next sound. So the next sound we're gonna make is a stab sound, and we're gonna do that kind of in the same way that we did the other one, but instead of 3 notes, we're gonna use 2 notes, so 2 oscillators, and we're gonna have it sort of, it's gonna be a lot more repeating. So first up, let's bring this clock down to 114, so then when we use the effects, everything's going to be locked. We've got that first oscillator, got the filter all the way open, so when we play that, I want the next one to be, let's go with a square. And then let's tune this down to we're going to tune that down to the G again. There we go. So we got that to the G. And then what I'm also going to do with the LFO, we're going to use that for the filter, but then we can also use the LFO for the pulse width since we've got the square wave here. So let's choose pulse width 2, and then amounts at like 50%, and the frequency is super low, like less than 1. So you can hear that sound consistently changing. Let's bring up oscillator 1. Giving us different, sort of slightly different sound each time. Let's pull that cutoff down. nice and sort of dark and moody. And envelope amount, we'll go sort of 3 o'clock position. Let's get the clip going and then we can start to shape the rest of the sound. Got the attack all the way down. Decay sort of about the 9 o'clock. Sustain just a little bit less, and then release kind of about the 12 o'clock. Now we come to the amp envelope. Decay is very much the same. Sustain about the 12 o'clock, and then the release is about the 12 o'clock as well. Let's increase this envelope amount so we get a little bit more of the sound. And then open up that cutoff just a little bit. Just trying out some different shapes here. I think that sounds pretty good right there. Let's get a little bit of noise. And this is going to be more of like almost a percussive element. Now that we've got that dialed in, let's come across, we'll turn the effects on. For part A, let's go back to A. Got that delay there. Let's go back. I like this one. Let's sync it up. Let's pull that feedback down. And let's play it with the rest of the drums and music that we have at the moment. And while we're shaping this, let's get the filter also getting affected by that LFO. So you can see it's dropped down a little bit. Let's go over to here. Nice plate reverb. Just changing the dry wet just for part B. So I think that's pretty good there. Obviously it's a little bit loud in the mix at the moment, but we'll fix that up when we record it in. So let's record that in and then we can move on to the next one once we've done a little bit of mixing. So lastly, we are going to create a little lead line. I've already initialized the patch. Let's take off that change to the frequency from the LFO and let's get cracking. So I've got the little MIDI clip here. Super simple line that just continues on. And we're going to do some things to kind of give it some more variation. So for oscillator 1, we're going to choose the sawtooth. And we got the volume. Let's pull down the volume a little bit to about 11 o'clock. For oscillator 2, let's choose a triangle. Keep the pitch. Make sure this is set to 0, and then the coarse tuning we're going to keep the same, and then the volume will go to 50% on that one. So now kind of have this sort of, turn that up a little bit. I think that sounds good there. Both of them are going to sit in the same octave. Make sure that volume is down. And then make sure the noise is turned down. Next, we're going to go over to the filter section. We're going to turn the cutoff all the way down, resonance down, envelope amount to full. Decay, we're going to have to about the 10 o'clock. Sustain is going to be up around 50%. And then the release is going to kind of be just past 12 o'clock, almost to get into 1 o'clock there. For the amp section, make sure the attack is down. Decay is going to kind of be up at like the 50%. Sustain a little bit less at about 11 o'clock position. And then the release, we'll keep that sort of, again, pretty much the same as the filter envelope. Now we can come along and let's pull this envelope amount down. Give it like a more percussive. We're not going to let through so much of that frequency. Resonance up to about sort of 11 o'clock there. So if we open this envelope amount, there we go. We've got it set to about the 3 o'clock there. Now we're going to come along to the effects. We're going to turn them on. We'll go to part B. Let's turn on the nice hall there. We'll go about 158 for the time. And first reflection, 125. And I think where it was 64, 65 is fine for the dry wet on there. Now this is all well and good, but we want to add a little bit more movement to this patch. We want something going on. So this is where we're going to use this aftertouch. And I'm going to set the aftertouch to the filter and then the mix for B. And now if I open up the MIDI clip and we can just make it a little bit smaller. If I now bring in the automation, you can see we've got aftertouch here. And then what I've done is I've got it set to 0 and then I've got it going up to full. So if we, up and down is 0, but if we increase this to full for the positive, and then we take this down to 0, it's bringing in the reverb, it's opening up the filter. And there's the changes. So if we play everything together, let's move this MIDI clip out of the way. Let's pull this lead down in the mix. I would even go as far as to add just a little reverb on there. To kind of help it sit within the mix when it's at its lowest with the aftertouch and the effects. So then I would even add a little filter. Fab filter. This one, super simple. It just does what it needs to do. So there you go. There's all of our parts. We have 4 main parts. Obviously, the bass is going to be something that goes throughout the whole track, but then obviously the lead line, the stabs, and then all of the stabs can kind of get pushed and pulled. You might have 2 elements together, 3 elements together. I wouldn't generally have everything going together like we just did in the demo, but you kind of get to hear all those bits and pieces. We made them all on the Trigon 6, and we got to kind of look at how we can kind of use filters, aftertouch, LFOs, and everything like that. At the end of the day, hopefully this has inspired you to create something. And until next time, see you later.